Hi everyone, and welcome to day 15 minutes of mindfulness meditation. Today I would like to start with, for all of you that have been here each day, take a moment, just let that settle in. And for those of you that are checking in sporadically, no worries. Today's discussion around mindfulness and the practice can be done whenever, as always, but it's an important part or an important time within our process, as I alluded to yesterday. Between today and tomorrow, we are at what is known as the wall, the period of time where whenever we're trying to do something, there's a point in time where it becomes almost a mental feat of strength to be able to continue on. Whether you're, or maybe I'll just keep it to running. When I was running a lot, when I was racing in high school, you could always see when a person throughout a running event was going to hit this invisible wall. The point where within their race where it almost like slowed down in time. You could see they had exerted so much effort to this point that it was this invisible barrier that almost said, this is where everything wants to come to a screeching halt. And we train through it, and we know that we can do it. So what happens? What happens is, and I know I did not prompt you to find your comfortable seat or position, but go ahead and do that while I'm sitting here explaining the wall to you. The wall is about 75% through any process where continuing on almost feels impossible. We've done 75% of the effort, but it's right at this point where a lot of people will give up or quit. So if we relate it to what we're doing here every morning, if you're on the East Coast or if you're joining me live, what we're doing every day when we show up to this mindfulness meditation is we've been working on just finding a comfortable position where we could settle in without too much interruption or distraction by the body. Then for about the last 6 to 7 days, we've been working on observing the breath in various different formats. So if we think about it, up to this point, our body knows at this point what to expect. Our breath may even unconsciously start to move into a different pattern than you had when you were walking around. You may even begin to notice your breath as you're sitting down, because over the last 15 days, we've been conditioning ourselves to do this. So why now? Why, if the body is set and the breath is becoming conditioned, does continuing on the rest of our journey feel challenging? And it's 75%, I should point out today, to the point where we will be making a habit, which is 21 days in. We're actually 50% of the way through our 31 days. So it's quite possible in this process that we could hit the wall twice. But again, if it's not the body, because the body is building up its strength, and it's not the breath, because the breath is moving, it's building up its awareness, or we're building awareness of our breath. Our breath is becoming conditioned to meet us at this point, what's left? Probably the single hardest thing we'll ever have to work on, whether it's in mindfulness or out in your daily living. And it's the mind. A couple days ago, I shared that we take in about 6,000 thoughts a day. We're not processing all of those thoughts. The thoughts that come to your forefront are the ones that your mind is saying consciously needs to be in the forefront and needs to be taken care of immediately. For example, I can turn on a kettle of water. I will be alerted in the form of a whistle when my water is boiled and ready. But at the same time, I can pick up my keys and I can put them down. And trust me, 5 minutes from now, I will be searching high and low for where are my keys. I had them in my hands, I was touching them, I saw them, I placed them, but none of those thoughts became conscious. It was just this background habitual unconscious reflex or reaction. So the next phase of what we're moving into, while the body and setting it up to be comfortable is step one, foundational, and the breath helps us become aware of where we are in the process. The next step is more nuanced, much more subtle, because we're going to have to check in with what's going on in our mind and what is that doing to the overall process. So as we're getting ourselves in this comfortable position, any extra comfort you may be seeking today, what we're going to work on is just that 4 count of breath here for a minute or two. And then we're just going to check in and notice the types of thoughts that are going on in our head right now. Now, the other thing I want to point out about the mind and how that plays out in this mindfulness or any meditation, the practice of being aware, is that the mind is not in the head. The brain is an organ that helps control everything in the body. That is in our head. The mind, the knowing, is in every single one of our living cells. It's why when people say, I can feel it in my gut, I know this is true, point to their stomach and their solar plexus region, their fire centers, not their heads. Little nuance, again, another thing we could talk really long about, but we're not going to get into it here. So let's get ourselves into a place where we can hold our attention not on the body, but more on the breath. And just arriving with those first cleansing breaths, we breathe in through the nose. Allow the lips to parse and exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, side out. And it's at this point that you can allow your gaze to divert away from any technological devices. Your gaze may even soften or the eyes close entirely. Just choose, play around with what feels good to you. Remember, you always have the option to move yourself against something that will support you, a wall, the back of the chair, even the floor. And we'll just begin to notice the qualities of the breath, the length of the inhale versus the length of the exhale, the texture, maybe even the temperature. You may notice that the breath is cooler going in, warmer moving out. And as the breath begins to settle into this moment, as it becomes aware of what it is that we're asking it to do, you can begin to count your inhale to a count of 4, and then count the exhale descending from 4 to 1. So as we next inhale, the inhale is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feel free to play along with your count, maybe longer or shorter, depending on how your inhale is feeling. Same with the exhale, it may be longer or shorter than my count. So go ahead and just begin to tune into your count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if you can at this point, just let the count go and just be here. Notice in this moment what thoughts are starting to arise. We're not going to get hung up on the context of the thoughts, but let's be more broad. Are the thoughts more in a group of worry? Are you worried how much longer we have? Are you worried about something that you started right before we joined? Are you worried about the day ahead of you? Notice if your thoughts are associated with worry. And perhaps your thoughts are around excitement. Excitement around showing up again to your practice, about something planned for the day, and perhaps excitement around something that happened yesterday, or maybe just before we joined here. Notice if your thoughts are surrounded about excitement. Or any other grouping, can you just notice the categories of thoughts in your mind? Slowly allow the breath to deepen. We'll allow the chin to tuck towards our chest if we are in a seated position. If you're lying down, go ahead and just move your head from side to side very gently. And we'll all begin to slowly butterfly open the eyes. Allow your gaze to come back up. And with that, we have made it through 15 minutes today. A great milestone, one that is very informative. We know inherently that our mind and our bodies are going to start to want to rebel against what we're doing, but we've already done so much of the hard work. So it's not that we can't do it. Now it's understanding those tricky subconscious things that are getting in our way, that are affecting us in this endeavor. So as you go through your day, maybe check in, play around with this. You don't need to get hung up or feed into the thoughts, but maybe notice, can you categorize your thoughts? Write it down somewhere. In a week from now, you might be interested to see a pattern. All right, everyone, I'm over a little bit. So enjoy your day. We'll be back tomorrow for 16 minutes on day 16 of our mindfulness meditation. Have a great day.